A 200-pound English Mastiff was about to cost Olivia everything: her apartment, her landlord's patience, her mother's last nerve. And the strangest part? She knew all of it before she signed the adoption papers. She signed them anyway, because the moment Baron placed his massive golden head on her lap inside that shelter, the decision had already been made. The only thing left was the damage. What nobody told Olivia, not the shelter worker, not her best friend Chloe, not a single person who watched her load a 200-pound dog into the back of a pickup truck, was that Baron had a plan. Not for Olivia, he had already chosen her. His plan was for someone else entirely, someone who hadn't agreed to any of this. Olivia had been volunteering at the Maplewood Animal Shelter every Saturday for 2 years. She worked a demanding 9 to 5 at a marketing agency downtown, and weekends at the shelter were the only thing that felt real. The noise of the city faded the moment she stepped through those heavy metal doors. The smell of antiseptic and dog food, the sound of paws on concrete, it grounded her in a way nothing else did. Baron arrived on a Friday afternoon in late October. He had been seized from an illegal breeding operation in rural Georgia. 47 dogs packed into corrugated metal sheds with no heat and barely enough water to survive. Most of them came in terrified, shaking, refusing to make eye contact. Baron walked in like he owned the place. He was enormous, pale gold fur, a charcoal black mask that gave his face the gravity of something much older than his 4 years. The shelter manager, Dana, pulled Olivia aside and said quietly, "Don't get attached. He's got a complicated history. Nobody's gonna take a 200-pound Mastiff in a city apartment." Olivia nodded. She absolutely agreed. Then Baron walked straight to her, sat down, and put his head in her lap. He let out one long, slow breath, like he'd been holding it for a very long time. Chloe, who had made the mistake of coming along that day, watched from 3 feet away and said, "Olivia, no." "I know," she said. "That dog weighs more than both of us combined." "I know, Chloe." She adopted him the following Tuesday. Stories like this are exactly why they deserve to be told. There's always more waiting. For 11 weeks, life in Olivia's 4th-floor apartment was glorious chaos. Baron had decided that the couch was his personal throne, that the kitchen was a place where things fell on the floor if you waited long enough, and that 5:47 a.m. was the ideal time to begin the day by sitting on Olivia's chest. She had never been happier. Then came the letter. Her landlord, Mr. Hendricks, had spotted Baron in the elevator on a Tuesday morning. He did not scream. He simply left a note under Olivia's door that read, "You have 30 days." 3 words, that was all. Olivia called Chloe. Chloe said, "I told you." She called 6 different apartments. All of them said no to a 200-pound dog. One person laughed and hung up. Another said she could keep Baron if she paid a $4,000 non-refundable pet deposit. She did not have $4,000. She sat on the floor that night while Baron put his big head in her lap, the same way he had on the day they met, and she stared at the ceiling for a long time. There was one option left, one she had been avoiding for 3 weeks. She was going to have to call her mother. But what happened next, nobody could have predicted. I see you still haven't subscribed. Honestly, that breaks my heart a little. Hit that button now. You won't regret it. Martha Henderson had strong opinions about many things: correct posture, the importance of ironing bed sheets, and dogs. Specifically that they belonged outside, that they did not belong on furniture, and that her daughter had lost her mind. "Absolutely not," Martha said when Olivia called. "Mom, I have nowhere else to go. Leave the dog at the shelter." "I can't do that." "Olivia Ann Henderson, if you bring a horse into my house—" "He's not a horse, Mom. He's a Mastiff." There was a long silence. Then her father, George, picked up the other line and said, "How big are we talking?" Olivia told him. Another silence. Then, "Does he bite?" "Only if you try to take his food bowl." George said, "Reasonable," and Martha said, "George, don't you dare." And Olivia loaded Baron into the truck the following Friday morning and drove 240 miles through steady rain with a 200-pound dog drooling on her shoulder the entire way. They arrived at 11:23 p.m. Martha opened the door, looked at Baron, looked at Olivia, and said nothing for 4 full seconds. Baron looked up at her with his ancient, serious face. "He is not sleeping in the house," Martha said. Baron walked past her into the living room, circled twice, and lay down directly on top of her freshly ironed throw blanket. George burst out laughing from the hallway. Martha did not laugh, but there was a pause before she said anything, just half a second, and Olivia saw it. Some things are too good to keep to yourself. For the first 3 days, Martha kept her distance. She moved around Baron the way you move around furniture in the dark, careful, slightly annoyed, trying not to acknowledge it's there. Baron, for his part, ignored her completely. He wasn't chasing her approval, he was simply present, patient, like he was waiting for something. It happened on a Wednesday night. Martha had settled onto the couch at 9 p.m. to watch her program. Baron walked in from the hallway, assessed the situation, and placed his 200-pound frame directly beside her, close enough that she had no choice but to feel the warmth of him. "I told you not to get on the couch," she said. Baron put his head on her knee. Martha sat very still for a moment. Then, slowly, almost reluctantly, her hand moved to the top of his head. She stroked his black masked face once, then again. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. George stood in the doorway watching. He would later tell Olivia that he hadn't seen his wife look that peaceful in years. Over the weeks that followed, something quiet and irreversible happened to the Henderson house. George started leaving small pieces of chicken by Baron's bowl, not because Baron needed them, but because George liked the way Baron looked at him when he did. Martha began sitting with him every evening, not because she'd surrendered, because she chose to. The house, which had settled into the particular stillness of 2 people whose children had left and whose days had grown predictable, was loud again, not unpleasantly loud, loud in the way of a tail hitting the side of a coffee table, loud in the way of someone sighing contentedly in the next room. Olivia found a new job 6 weeks later, a better one, closer to home, close enough to visit on weekends. Every time she pulled into the driveway, Baron would hear the truck from inside the house and begin barking, and every time Martha would open the door first, already smiling. Not because of the job, not because of the visits, because of what Baron had quietly and stubbornly refused to let this family become. Sometimes the best things in your life show up uninvited, weighing 200 pounds, leaving drool on your shoulder, and changing everything. And if you're thinking of opening your home to a rescue dog, remember, they're not just looking for somewhere to stay, they're looking for someone to stay for. Did Baron save Olivia, or did Olivia save Baron? Or maybe neither of them was the one who really needed saving. Tell me what you think in the comments.